Hi everybody, this is Julie Bean with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to make a beaded focal to fill a bezel setting. So in this case my bezel is going to be this earring, and this is by Nunn Design. You see this little 12mm earring finding. And what I've done is I've created a little beaded focal to fill it. So that's what it looks like when it's all done. So you can see, and it's in there and it's secure. So I used some glue to secure it. I used an E6000, and I'm going to show you how to do the beadwork. So what inspired this project was actually this other project I did. So this I call the Garden Party Bracelet, and this is just using some super duos and seed beads. And we have another video showing you how to do this bracelet if you're interested. But I really love the technique and I love the supplies, so I wanted to modify it to work with a bezel. So it's similar but different. What you're going to need in terms of your supplies, you will need 3 different types of beads. You're going to need super duos, and they come in a whole variety of colors, so you can pick out your favorite. I have little demi rounds. So these are seed beads that are very thin. So I'm going to pick up a couple. These are size 11-0. I'm going to pick up a couple on my needle, and they're very thin. So you know how a seed bead is usually cylindric or round in shape? These are like little slices. So they're a great little option when you're working with sizes and trying to make things fit, like with this project here. And then I have an 8-0 Toho round. Then you're going to need your setting. Now you can do a necklace, you can do an earring, you could do whatever you like. And then you're going to need some thread. I'm using Wildfire 0.006, but really you can use whatever you like. I think in this particular project, the thread is not so important as long as it goes through your beads and is not very noticeable. So I liked black in this case. I don't think you have to necessarily do black. I think you could do white too. So that is what you need for your supplies. You'll also need glue such as E6000 or another glue to glue it into your bezel setting. Then for your tools, you need a needle. I'm using a size 10 short needle and a pair of scissors. Okay, let me show you how to make this. Let's get these guys off to the side. Again, here's our little sample. And we're going to start with the center. So what's nice about super duos, if you've worked with 2-hole beads before, you know that sometimes it matters which hole you go in. With these, it does not matter. So that actually makes life really easy. So we have put our thread onto our needle. We have about 24 inches. You're not going to need that much thread, but I do find it difficult to work with too much less than that. So I am picking up a little demi round and then a super duo and then a demi round. I'm just going to repeat that pattern until I have 5 super duos on my needle. Okay, so there we go. We've got a little demi round between each one, and we've got 5 on the needle. I am going to slide these down. And I did not put a stopper bead on, and I did not tie a knot to begin with. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a tail of about 6 or 7 inches so that I can go back and work my thread in later. But for right now, I am just going to make a little loop. And I am going to bring all those beads together. So it almost makes a little flower or a little star. And I'm going to tie another knot. And I want to make sure it rests right where the other one was. So I don't want any beads to get stuck. There we go. So now we've got that little cluster shape. I'm going to take our needle, and I always like to go through the bead next to my knot, because what it does is it pulls that knot into the bead a little bit, which is nice, which kind of hides it away. So there's what we've got. And now we need to jump up to the top. So you've got the 2 beads on, or not the 2 beads, you got the 2 holes on the side. And we're just going to go through the top one. And when we do this, you will see it creates a little thread bridge, but that's okay. That's not going to be noticeable when the project is all done. So now what we want to do, and I did a lot of trial and error. This earring actually took a very long time to make because I needed to get the right size to go into that 12mm bezel setting. So to do that, we're going to pick up a demi round, followed by a 8-0 Toho, and another demi round. And we got that on our needle. and we're just going to jump over to the next hole on the next super duo. Okay, and we're going to repeat all the way around, same pattern. We're almost there. 2 more to go. And I think this would actually make a really pretty bracelet too. I think there's a lot of different applications for this little cluster. You don't have to necessarily glue it into a bezel setting. All right, so when you get to the last one, make sure you complete the round and go through the hole. So this is what we have. And now if we look, we have a little something in the middle. So we've got all the outside done. So we need to go into the middle. To do that, I'm going to go ahead just for a little extra security and go through another segment of beads that are already strung. I like to give myself just a little bit extra. There we go. And now we're going to jump down to the bottom row again. So again, you've got your 2 holes. We're at the top hole right now. And we're just going to jump back down to the bottom one. Again, you're going to create that little thread bridge, but it's not going to be noticeable. Okay, so now we're along the bottom. So to make the little cluster in the middle, we're going to pick up 1 demi round, 1 toho, 1 demi round. And we are just literally going to jump over the top. I'm going to get this thread out of the way. Okay, so we're just going to go over. We're going to go all the way across. So if you can see what I'm doing, I'm exiting this bead here, and now I'm going to go through this bead on the other side because I want to fill that gap. I don't really want a hole in the middle, especially when I put this into my bezel. Okay, and there we go. Now we have a nice gold focal in the middle. And what I want to do, before I pull this tight, it's kind of bothering me that my tail is right here. I'm just going to see if I can take my tail, because it's on the top side. I want it on the bottom side. I'm just going to take my tail, try to thread it through the center, and pull it to the back. I think that's going to be much easier when I need to tie it off. Okay, so there, this is what we have. We have it done. Now we just need to tie it off. To tie it off, go through a couple more beads. Again, it's that whole thing. I just like to give myself a little bit of extra cushion. And now I'm between a demi round and the super duo side. I'm going to just slip my needle under the thread, create a little loop, and go through it and pull. Made a little knot. I'm going to do one more. Good. And now I'm going to go through a couple more beads. Okay, so we've successfully tied that off. If you want, you can secure it a couple more times doing that exact same method, but because we're gluing this into a bezel, you don't really feel the need. I feel like that one double knot setup was pretty good. And I'm going to pull my thread to the back and trim it. Okay, so we have that thread all done. Now you are just going to do the exact same technique of tying it off with this tail as well. So you'll just put your needle back on it. You will go ahead and weave it in a little bit, tie a knot or two, and then you're done. And then what you'll do is you'll trim that tail, and you will just, and I'm just gonna trim it right here because I wanna keep the video nice and short. So you'll fill this with glue, just put it right down here in the bottom, and then position this however you want it, whatever orientation you want it. And you're just going to slip it in there. And what you can do is you can twist it around so that you have it up and down however you want it. And then when you're all done, you're going to dry it upright. So you're just going to let it dry like this. And then when that's dry, you will have this. So there is our little focal that we beaded for our bezel setting. You can find all the supplies for this, as well as the instructions and video for this bracelet as well, and many others featuring super duos and other 2-hole beads at beadaholic.com.